dark void of space stretched endlessly, silent except for the faint hum of the alien salvage ship, Farkon 7. Its metal hull gleamed under the cold light of a distant star. Inside, the crew moved efficiently, their clawed hands inspecting equipment, checking panels and whispering in their harsh, guttural language. They had a mission: search the derelict human. Transport vessels drifting in this sector. Humans, the crew thought, were weak, fragile, long gone from the galaxy. Captain Garnock leaned over the viewport, staring at the drifting ship ahead. Its hull was scarred and burnt, riddled with holes, but something about it caught his attention. There was movement. Tiny, almost invisible, but undeniable. He tapped a control, scanning the craft with a green pulse. Life signs, Garnock growled. Weak, almost nothing. But something is alive. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Life aboard these derelict ships usually meant traps. Dangers or worse, ghosts of old wars. Engineer Krill stepped forward, voice trembling slightly. It's a human vessel, Captain. Completely abandoned, or so we thought. The scanner beeped again, showing a faint life signature. One single reading. The crew froze. Humans were extinct, or at least that's what the galaxy had always believed. Garnock barked, "Prepare the pod!" We board at once. Do not let it escape. The boarding pod detached smoothly and glided toward the derelict vessel. Inside, the crew braced themselves, talons gripping their weapons. As the pod docked, a hiss echoed and the airlock opened. Cold, stale air filled the cabin. The inside smelled metallic, like rust and decay, but beneath it, there was something else, something faint but unmistakable. Life. They moved carefully, every step echoing. The ship was eerily silent. Broken panels, scattered tools, and floating debris told the story of a sudden evacuation or a violent attack. Then Krill spotted it. A small pod, unlike anything they had ever seen, floated in the center of the room. It glowed faintly with a soft blue light. It was sealed but active. A life support reading flashed on the scanner. 1. A single life. Garnock's eyes narrowed. Open it now. Krill hesitated. Something in the pod felt wrong. Captain, this could be dangerous. We don't know what... Garnock slammed his clawed hand onto the scanner. We are the strongest species here. Fear is for prey, open it. A hiss sounded as the pod slowly lifted its top. Inside lay a human infant, tiny, helpless, and breathing. The crew froze. Its eyes were closed, small fists curled, and the soft rise and fall of its chest was rhythmic, almost calm. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then one of the crew, Zornak, stepped forward greedily. Sell it, the auction will pay more than a year of salvage. No, hissed Vral, another crew member, shaking his head. Study it. We can learn why humans survived so long in these conditions. They are fragile, yes, but something is different. Garnock ignored them both. He simply stared at the baby. Something about it made his chest tighten. Strange feeling he could not understand. Fear? Curiosity? Admiration? He did not know. Then, without warning, the ship's systems flickered. Lights dimmed and surged, panels beeped, and the pod's soft glow pulsed wildly. The infant stirred, letting out a faint cry. The sound was small, fragile, but for a moment, it felt louder than the entire void outside. Krill checked the control panel. A warning had appeared, text in a language no one understood. He fumbled to translate it. Human Guardian Protocol activated. What does that mean? He whispered. Means nothing, Garnock snapped. It is just a baby. Nothing can harm us. The crew moved to remove the pod from the ship. As they lifted it, a sudden pulse of energy shot through the vessel. Doors slammed shut, lights flickered, and alarms echoed. The baby's cry changed. It was no longer weak, stronger, louder. The crew flinched. Something about its sound commanded attention. Zornak's hands shook. It's controlling the ship! Impossible, Garnock growled. He slammed his clawed fist on the console. Do not let it scare you. It is a baby. Nothing more. But even as he said it, the pod glowed brighter, and the ship's direction began to change without any input. The vessel drifted toward open space, toward coordinates the crew had not set. Krill's eyes widened. Captain, the ship. It's moving by itself. The child is guiding it. Garnock's chest tightened. Fear. For the first time, real fear crept through him. Not for himself, not for the ship, but for what they had just done. They had taken a human infant from a derelict ship, a species they thought was extinct, and somewhere far away in the void of space a distress beacon began to blink. A signal long dormant had awakened, a call that no one had heard for centuries. The crew had made a mistake that could not be undone. The baby's eyes opened, and for a moment, Garnock felt something he had never felt before. The eyes were dark and deep, and in them he saw something ancient. A warning. A promise. The captain swallowed hard. "What have we done?" he whispered. No one answered. The silence that followed was heavier than the void outside. The ship continued to drift, faster now, guided by the unseen hand of the human child. And in that moment, Garnock realized the truth. Humanity was not extinct. And no one, absolutely no one, could ignore a human child. Far away in the darkness between the stars, someone was coming. The alien salvage ship, Varkon 7, drifted through the void, its course no longer under the control of the crew. Every screen, panel, and control surface flickered erratically. The small human child in the glowing pod lay calm, eyes half open, as if watching the ship and its occupants with quiet patience. Engineer Krill paced nervously. "Captain, this is impossible. The ship is moving on its own. The baby, whatever it is, controls the systems." Captain Garnock slammed a clawed hand on the console. "Nonsense. A human infant? This is ridiculous. It is just a baby. Nothing more. There is no power in that fragile body." But even as he spoke, the lights flickered again. Panels sparked and doors slammed shut. The crew jumped, claws scrabbling for support. The pod glowed brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat synced with the ship. A strange vibration ran through the metal floor. Did it just lock the weapons?" hissed Vral, his voice shaking. His claws hovered over the panel, unable to touch the controls. Garnock froze. The weapons systems, normally responsive to the captain's command, now showed red error codes. No input from any crew member could override them. The baby's eyes slowly opened. They were dark, deep, and ancient. A shiver ran down the spines of the crew. For a moment it seemed the child was aware of each of them individually. Measuring, judging, calculating. "Something is wrong with it," Krill muttered, scanning the pod. The life support readings were abnormal. The child's heartbeat was steady, too steady. Its breathing was calm, almost artificial. Yet sensors showed energy spikes emanating from the pod, spreading through the ship's systems. "Calm yourself," Garnock roared, though his voice lacked conviction. "We take it to the market. That is all. Nothing can harm us." But the crew knew deep down something had changed. Something ancient and powerful stirred within that tiny human. Suddenly the pod emitted a soft, resonating hum. The vibration traveled through the metal floor, walls, and ceiling. Instruments went haywire. Screens flashed strange symbols. An unknown language scrolled rapidly, glowing bright before vanishing. Krill translated the fragments as best he could. "Human Guardian Protocol? Active. Unauthorized removal detected." "What does it mean?" Frau whispered, fear creeping into his voice. "It means we are in trouble," Krill replied quietly, his eyes fixed on the pod. "I don't know how, but this infant, it is protected by something we cannot understand." Zornak, the greedy crew member, clenched his claws. "It's just a baby. Nothing can hurt us. We can sell it. We can make a fortune." The pod pulsed brighter at his words, and Zornak felt a sudden pressure in his chest. His claws trembled uncontrollably. He staggered backward, eyes wide. "Oh, I feel in fear." "Fear?" Garnock growled. "This is ridiculous. We are the strongest beings in this sector. Nothing scares us." And yet, even Garnock felt it. An invisible weight pressed down on him. A cold chill ran through his bones. The baby's gaze seemed to pierce him, not with malice, but with the knowledge of inevitability. Suddenly, the pod's glow shifted to intense blue-white light, illuminating every corner of the ship. A wave of energy surged, and the ship jolted violently. Crew members clung to panels, trying not to fall. Krill scrambled to stabilize the systems, but nothing worked. Every console was under the child's influence. "Captain," Krill shouted, "we are completely locked out. We cannot stop it. The ship, it is moving on its own, following coordinates we do not know." Garnock clenched his claws, jaw tight. What are we dealing with?" The pod's hum grew louder. Then a sound no one had expected. A faint, melodic vibration, almost a whisper in the air. The crew felt it not with their ears, but in their minds. Each alien experienced memories not their own. Flashes of humans protecting planets, fighting wars, surviving impossible odds. Humans defending the weak, humans punishing aggressors, humans never forgiving. We're all staggered. What is this? I feel their history, their power, their anger. Krill's eyes went wide. It's showing us everything. All the humans who once ruled this galaxy, who fought, who survived. They were not fragile. They were unstoppable. Zornak cried out in fear. This is impossible. We are the strongest now. We cannot. But the ship jolted again, faster this time. Alarms screamed, lights flickered, and the baby's cry filled the chamber. Not loud, but somehow resonant. The walls vibrated with the sound. Crew members fell to the floor, clutching their heads. Garnock, trembling for the first time in his life, stared at the pod. His voice was low, almost a whisper. We have made a mistake. A terrible mistake. The pod's glow faded slightly and the humming stopped. But the ship continued on its new course, steadily, without any input from the crew. The message was clear. They were no longer in control. Far away in the darkness of space, a human distress beacon activated. It had waited silent for centuries. Now it had been triggered by the theft of this child. Somewhere a response had begun. The crew looked at each other, fear and disbelief written across every face. They had believed they were capturing prey. They had believed humans were gone. They were wrong. The infant in the pod yawned softly, its tiny hand reaching upward, as if pointing toward the stars. Garnock swallowed hard. This is no longer about profit. It is about survival. And we are not ready. Silence fell over the ship again. The crew no longer moved with confidence. They could feel it, the calm before a storm that would change the galaxy forever. The ship drifted through the void, guided by the child, toward a fate none of them could escape. The Varkon 7 glided silently through the endless black of space, guided by the human child's unseen power. Inside, the alien crew remained paralyzed by fear. No one moved without trembling. Every console they touched sparked with static. Every screen displayed strange ancient symbols they could not understand. Krill stared at the readings. Captain, this child, it's not just controlling the ship. It's showing the galaxy our location. Something is happening. Garnock growled, fear hidden beneath his pride. Show me. Outside the ship, across the sector, alien communication networks began to flare. Factions that had long ignored humanity's existence suddenly picked up an unusual signal, a beacon pulsing with a code that had not been seen for centuries. They deciphered it and panic spread. Human child detected. Guardian protocol active. Unauthorized removal in progress. The message was short, clear, terrifying. Across star systems, commanders paused mid-discussion, mid-battle, mid-exploration. The name human had been almost forgotten, dismissed as a legend. Now it returned like a ghost, demanding attention. Krill glanced at Garnock. Captain, they know. Every major faction in this quadrant, they know, and they are responding. Garnock's claw tightened. Responding? How? Outside the ship, surveillance detected human vessels emerging from hidden colonies, from distant systems, from long-abandoned outposts. They were old ships, patched and repaired over decades, some ancient, some new. Their engines burned steadily, silently, yet their movement was precise, calculated, unstoppable. The alien crew realized their terrible mistake. This was never just a baby, Vrall whispered. It is the future of an entire species. They are coming. The crew tried to send warnings, tried to flee, tried to hide. But the Varkon 7 no longer obeyed them. The human child in the pod remained calm, eyes half closed, glowing faintly. The ship followed its direction, straight into the heart of a gathering storm. The return of humans to a galaxy that thought them extinct. Zornak shook with rage and fear. We cannot sell it now. We cannot study it. We have doomed ourselves. Krill nodded. Doomed. And not just us. The galaxy itself will pay if humans decide to act. For hours, the crew watched from the bridge. Star systems flashed as messages spread faster than light across alien networks. Entire fleets paused, listening, analyzing, calculating. Humans had always been underestimated, believed fragile and weak. But these signals were different. They carried a warning, a history, and an authority no one could ignore. The baby in the pod stirred. Its tiny hands reached toward the walls of the ship. The panels shimmered with light. For the first time, the crew saw a glimpse of something impossible. Images projected into the air. Visions of humans in the past, fighting wars, negotiating peace, protecting civilizations, and punishing aggressors who dared harm them. Krill's voice trembled. They were warriors, protectors, leaders, humans. Never destroyed worlds in anger, they destroyed futures in memory. And now it's starting again. Garnock stared at the glowing images. Every memory flashed before them. Humans standing against impossible odds, saving planets from extinction, punishing invaders, outsmarting enemies with strategies no other species could comprehend. The child was a living link to that history. Varl muttered under his breath. We thought they were weak, fragile, gone, we were fools. The Varkon 7 drifted into a communication array, trying desperately to contact friendly species. Every message returned the same result, intercepted by humans, overridden and rewritten. The galaxy itself seemed to bend to their attention. Krill's hands shook on the console. It's not just us, Captain. Every record, every system, every fleet is being watched. Humans are everywhere, yet nowhere. They are returning, not for war. Not yet, but if this child is harmed... Garnock swallowed. Fear coursed through him. We took a baby. That's all. A tiny, defenseless creature. Krill's voice was hard. A tiny creature that carries the weight of an entire species. That child is more powerful than any fleet, any weapon, any empire. The alien crew realized the truth. Humanity's survival was not about strength. It was about resilience, strategy, and the will to survive and protect their own. They were not extinct. They were waiting. They had been hidden, observing, calculating, and now, one stolen infant had activated the Guardian protocol that no one could defy. Outside, a shadow moved across the stars, a fleet appearing silently, efficiently. Human ships, some small, some massive, drifted like predators in the dark. There were no engines roaring, no weapons fired, but the presence alone demanded respect. Zornak fell to the floor. They are coming for us. Krill shook his head. Not for us, not yet. They are coming for the child. And everything else will follow. Garnock looked at the pod, eyes wide. The baby blinked slowly, almost knowingly. It was calm. It was quiet. And it was in control. For the first time, Garnock understood. They had misjudged humans entirely. Not just this child, but the species as a whole. Every myth, every record, every story of humans being weak was a lie created by those too afraid to understand them. Vrall whispered. The galaxy will never forget this mistake. The child reached out again, and the ship obeyed. Every light, every console, every system moved with purpose. The crew could not stop it. They were passengers now, watching the galaxy awaken to a species it had long underestimated. And somewhere far away, a human commander received the beacon. He did not speak. He did not rush. He merely prepared. The galaxy had learned a dangerous truth. Humans were not gone. Humans had survived, and humans had a way of reminding the universe why they should never be underestimated. The void of space had never felt heavier. Outside the hull of Varkon 7, distant stars shone cold and indifferent, but inside the alien salvage ship, fear had become a living thing. The crew no longer dared speak. Every motion was cautious. Every glance toward the glowing pod brought unease. The human child lay in the center of the room, eyes open and calm. Its small hand reached outward occasionally, and each movement sent subtle pulses through the ship. The instruments shivered, alarms flickered, and the ship followed paths no alien hand could control. Captain? Sensors detect ships approaching, Krill whispered, voice trembling. He pointed to the screens. Silent human vessels glided in from multiple directions, appearing without warning. There were dozens, maybe hundreds. Some were small scouts, some massive cruisers, patched and ancient, others brand new, all moving with precision, unity, and patience. Garnock's claws tightened around the railing. Impossible. There is no way they... A low hum filled the room. It was subtle, almost imperceptible at first. Then it grew louder, reverberating through metal and bone alike. The crew froze. The baby's eyes glowed faintly, and with that glow, the ship began aligning itself with the human fleet, moving as if it recognized its own kind. Vrall whispered, They're calm, no weapons fired yet. From the shadows of the bridge, Zornak trembled. They are here. For us? Krill shook his head. Not for us. For the child. For what it represents. For the future of humanity itself. The alien crew realized their mistake. This was never just a mission. They had stolen something far greater than themselves, an entire species. Hope and power condensed into a single infant. A human vessel detached from the formation and drifted closer. Its hull was smooth, sleek, and advanced beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. It bore no weapons aimed, no intimidation, yet its presence radiated command, judgment, and authority. A single figure appeared on the bridge. Hologram, a human commander. Calm, silent, eyes locked on the alien crew. "Return the child," he said. His voice was soft, almost gentle, but carried a weight no one could ignore. "You still have time." Garnock barked a laugh, but it lacked conviction. "You think we can give it back? This child is ours. Its value—" The human commander interrupted, voice steady. "Do not test humanity's patience. One life stolen is enough to awaken what should never be disturbed. Return it, or face consequences you cannot imagine." The Varkon 7's engine surged suddenly. The aliens tried to override the systems, but every console, every panel, every screen was unresponsive. The ship obeyed the child, not them. They were passengers in their own vessel. The first human scouts began to dock silently. The aliens readied themselves for combat, but no attack came. The humans moved with confidence, flowing through the ship with ease. Their presence was calculated, measured, efficient. They did not rush. They did not panic. Every step, every movement radiated control and authority. The crew watched in horror. They were outmatched not by brute force, but by precision, strategy, and calm confidence. The baby stirred, reaching a tiny hand toward the nearest human. The commander stepped closer. The child grasped his finger. The human commander's voice was calm, almost tender. "You cannot harm what must be protected. You cannot hide from what you cannot fight. You cannot defy a species whose memory never forgets, whose patience never ends." Garnock's voice broke. We were told humans were extinct, weak, fragile." Krill shook his head, eyes wide. "We were fools. We have underestimated everything." Zornak fell to the floor, muttering, "We are done. Finished." The child yawned. Tiny, fragile, innocent. But in its small gaze lay the weight of millennia, the power of survival, and the warning of consequences. The human fleet did not attack. They did not fire. They only claimed what was theirs. The baby was taken from the pod, cradled in human hands, safe, secure, untouchable. The alien crew felt a pressure in the air, a presence that did not need weapons to dominate. The human commander looked at the aliens once more. "You will live, but remember this moment. Humanity does not act for hatred. We do not seek revenge unnecessarily. But those who threaten what is ours will learn the cost." The aliens realized the truth finally. The galaxy's legends had been true. Humans were not fragile. They were not weak. And a single human child was enough to remind the galaxy why humanity must never be underestimated. Vral whispered, trembling, We have survived. But we are broken. The galaxy has changed." The commander nodded to the crew silently, then turned and walked back to his vessel. The human child in his arms reached out one last time, and the Varkon 7 seemed to shiver, almost bowing in submission. Garnock stared at the empty bridge, silence pressing down. "The galaxy will never forget this," he muttered. "We have made the worst mistake possible." The human ships departed, disappearing into the void, leaving the alien crew shaken, terrified, and aware that they had witnessed something far greater than they could comprehend. For centuries, the galaxy had believed humans extinct. For centuries, they had underestimated them. Now the galaxy had learned the truth: humans survived. Humans were everywhere, and humans never forgave those who harmed their own. The small baby, innocent and fragile to the eye, had already reshaped the future of countless civilizations, and the alien crew would carry the lesson for the rest of their lives: never, ever touch a human child.